When we talk about the Sharpay versus Gabriella discourse, I honestly just want to say, I think the fact that we're pitting it, Sharpay versus Gabriella, is the problem in the first place. When we really think about High School Musical, it's really not Sharpay or Gabriella who is more interesting. Sharpay, she got a spinoff. She's way more interesting. That's not the point. We should be thinking about how this conversation, in and of itself, is rooted in misogyny. Now, the interesting thing about High School Musical is, honestly, if I were to say who the main characters of High School Musical are, I'm going to pick three. It's going to be Troy, it's going to be Sharpay, and it's going to be Ryan. Because these are the people that model the big lessons in the story. Troy, we are breaking free of the status quo, and we are learning that that is not something that happens overnight. You are consistently going to be questioned, is this something that I really want to do? Because as supportive as maybe people in his life became, at the end of the day, they still thought that he was just going to go back to basketball, right? That he was going to, at the end of the day, like, yes, this was your thing, but at the end of the day, you are going to conform back to what you were doing, right? Then we get Sharpay. She is an incredible story about how does privilege, the status quo of privilege, hello, could I talk, play out throughout the movie. Ryan, you are someone who is in a position of privilege, not as much in the way that he's kind of considered Sharpay's sidekick, and that's almost the problem. Privilege will never protect you because at the end of the day, if you don't serve the purpose, you're going to be kicked out. And Ryan in High School Musical 2 learns we're all in this together, so he learns that lesson there. Gabriella is a very interesting part of High School Musical in that when Troy and Gabriella meet, they really showcase something to Troy that he had never considered before. He feels so comfortable with someone, right? This is someone who doesn't know Troy, doesn't have a history with him, and is not expecting him to fit into this mold. And Troy feels really comfortable with Gabriella to explore this idea that maybe he wants to get into musicals, maybe he wants to sing more. And he often attributes this to Gabriella, even in his final speech at the graduation, that Gabriella helped him in becoming more courageous at doing the things he wanted to do, right? Because when you have people telling you need to fit in this box, you need to stick to the status quo, how nice is it to have someone that you don't have to put on a show for? You don't have to be a certain someone. You don't have to perform a specific version of yourself. You can just be you and explore what you want to without having to say, explain yourself as to why you want to magically do something that you weren't doing before. And that is so beautiful. And I think that is the difference in the characters. We are comparing two characters that serve two very different purposes throughout the story. And at the end of the day, obviously, Sharpay is a very complex character, and that's what makes her interesting. She is obviously causing a lot of issues throughout High School Musical. She's not the only one, but she does cause a lot of big issues, so we can showcase her story of privilege here and what happens when someone in privilege is challenged. And there's just so much that we can't cover today. But at the end of the day, it's not a crime to be boring. If you think about it, when we don't have the drama, we're not fighting to prove ourselves to fit into a box that we're trying to prove to other people because of these made-up rules of the status quo. I'm sure that part of the storyline can be boring, right? When you don't have to face these challenges and prove yourself, no, this is who I want to be. I don't know why you're telling me that I have to be just the basketball guy when I can also be the musical guy too. Is that not reflective of the misogyny, and that we don't need to pin the two girls against each other, they just serve different points in the movie, but also does mundane feel too boring to people where it's uninteresting? And it doesn't mean anything personally about Gabriella. I don't think that people were ever looking for a Gabriella spinoff in that way, or that was ever an argument. I really think it's just people want to defend Sharpay, and they don't realize that you can also enjoy Sharpay's character. There are so many complex women who are probably guilty of really causing drama in their storylines because of their privilege, that are interesting to watch. But that unfortunately does not mean that Gabriella is the worst person ever. Like, there may be valid critiques of Gabriella, as there is from literally any character in this movie, because I don't think you could not have a critique about every character in the movie, in the ways that we all uphold the status quo at the end of the day, whether we are consciously aware of that or not is neither here nor there. So there's a critique to be said for everyone in that movie on that case. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We don't need to pin the girls against each other. And I just want to say, you know, once again, one of the things I hear that's kind of rooted in misogyny in these arguments with Sharpay versus Gabriella is when they try to argue who was better for Troy. And I go, well, hate to break it to you. Why are we not talking about them as individual people and the qualities they have, as opposed to like surrounding their worthiness of who's worthy because of what she could serve to a man? Like, we really need to be thinking about that. I think it's so interesting hearing all the different, High School Musical, we'll call it think pieces, if you will, and really thinking about them. But anyway, that's my take. I hope everyone enjoyed.